Okay, sorry for that little delay. Everybody loves technology, I am sure. Can somebody type in the chat if they can hear me okay? It's kind of definitely mute on my end, and I just want to be sure everybody can hear me okay, see okay. So if anybody feels free to type into the chat box, I'd love to hear that everybody can hear me and we are ready to go. Sorry for the delay once again. We're gonna speed through this so we don't eat up too much of your time today. Okay, I'm going to assume everyone can hear and see loud and clear. So thank you, Glance, for having this webinar put together, and thank you, everybody who took the time out to hop on here. I am Jeremy with SignComp, so you might hear some noise in the background because those who are not familiar, we set up our entire ISA booth back here in our warehouse. So you'll hear the saws running, a couple of pieces of aluminum clinging together. So I'll try to keep it as muffled and loud as I can possibly be so we don't get distracted by it. But no, once again, thank you all for joining on. We are a little bit behind, and I don't want to keep you too long, so we will go through our channel letter raceways today. So once again, thank you very much for Glance on hosting this event. We appreciate it very much. So first and foremost, with our channel letter raceways, those who don't have the visual just yet, it's a U channel with a lid that you would then mount channel letters to the outside and be able to hang this in one shot rather than doing individual letters across the storefront. Keep in mind, SignComp does not do anything with the channel letters. All of this material you can purchase from Glance, whether it's face material, trim cap, coil, you name it, LEDs, they have all that in stock for you. We are just going to be the channel letter raceway themselves. Okay. The chat box is open, so if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask the host or myself. And here comes Colleen on. What I'm going to go through quickly today is just two of our most popular sets of raceways that we offer. We have an entire family of raceway ranging from the Monster back in the day is the 8x8 one piece. From there, we evolved to a two-piece to make it lighter weight, that it's a male and a female end that roll together to create that 8x8. But once again, it's much lighter than the original. From there, we have a 5x5 because as power supplies continue to get smaller and channel height tend to get a little bit smaller, we don't need that Monster Raceway any longer. And then from there, we have a 3x5 Raceway and then the ever popular 4x8 Raceway as well. So starting with our 3x5, I do want to remind you that all the benefits I'm showing you on this 3x5 raceway are present throughout all of our other raceways. So I'm just trying to keep it simple. We know that 8x8 is going to be larger and 5x5 is going to be larger than the sets that I show you here. So 3x5, it's a one-piece channel, okay? There is a front and a back to it, and the way we can tell is by marrying our hinge lid to the raceway itself, okay? There's a little provision in the back that allows us to only have to fasten on the front. We give you a scribe line on the face of that, and that's where we're going to run a fastener to secure that hinge lid. So if we ever have to get out there in the field and service this, we're going to undo a couple of those face screws, and this is going to hinge open, only allowing one place for the screws to go, not on the front and the back where it makes it a little bit more difficult to reach those screws. Next, on the back side is we have to start thinking about mounting. We have two mounting brackets that are already pre-punched, 3 inches in width. There's two different sizes. We do have a smaller and a larger. Now, there are provisions on the top and the bottom of the raceway to slide these mounting brackets into. So on the top, we can go into that provision, and on the bottom, once again, it's the exact same channel that we can slide a bottom provision in there. Of course, because of gravity, we want maybe a couple of more brackets on the top than we do on the bottom. And if you ask me, hold my feet to the fire, you know, where does it matter which ones I put where? I actually prefer having the larger mounting tab on the top, so that way our screw gun, we have access to bypass that lid. Here's a quick view of them side by side so you can see the height difference. Now, of course, we're going to run into those situations where less is more. You don't want to see too much of the mounting provisions. Yes, you can still put the smaller one up top to hide it a little bit more. Just get a longer bit so we can fasten that. So every 3 to 4 feet or whatever your recommended spacing is going to be, you guys are the experts. I'm just here to tell you what we have, is that now you can move these, but every 3 to 4 feet should suffice. And we do have testing on that if you ever have weight questions when it comes to your channel letters as well. Now, going on the inside of our raceway is that you'll notice the 3x5 has screw bosses, 1, 2, 3 sets on either side. This is the only raceway that has this middle provision, and I'll get to that in a second. Typically, we have 2-inch braces that can slide within that screw boss. Okay, that's just for added support, typically just placed on the top run because the bottom is fairly secure because it's a one piece. But what we can do is we can cut these into larger sections if you want just a little bit more strength to your raceway. But also by getting these in 6-inch pieces, you can insert them on the bottom, and here's your tray for your power supply. Okay, all the way on the bottom. Now, with this being a tighter confine like that, we can actually put it on this middle rung. On this middle area here. So now we're not reaching all the way to the bottom, trying to get our big hands to the bottom to service the power supply. We can go on this middle section here to where the rest of the screw bosses that you see are for the end cap. Those are the screw bosses for the actual end cap, not here in the center. So no matter where we straight cut this extrusion at, those are going to be present so you can run your fasteners for your end cap on the inside. Okay.
Hey, Jeremy, I've got a question for you.
Yes, Colleen.
So how big of a letter do you think we should put on that?
Put on this, once again, I am not the expert. Majority of the people in this room are a little bit more experts. Is that the question is asked is what's the max height you want to put on one of these raceways? So this face of the raceway here only gives us so much room for it. So I would probably say, you know, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15-inch. Because once again, there's only so much of the structure. Now, if you're going to line up the bottom of the letter and go upward, you might want to put some additional bracing if you wanted to stick with a smaller raceway. But if it's going to be centered, maybe we can grow that from the 15-inch either direction, maybe even max out up to 18. But once again, this is the only surface that we have to run the holes, the power, and the mounting of that channel letter. And if we're going to go larger, that's when we'll jump to the 4x8 that we see here.
Can I touch on one more thing before you move away from that one? So that is the one piece 5-inch narrow. I just want to let everybody know that in most cases we stock this. So we have 8-foot pieces you can buy, and I know Jeremy further down we'll get into how so funny. We'll get into how you can splice it and stuff. But we do have these available in 24-foot in some a lot of our distribution centers, and we have them in 8-foot available also.
That is correct. So just because we're kind of at that point here is really it's the exact same setup as the one piece. This is a 2-piece setup though. Earlier I had mentioned it's a male and a female end, so it's a 2-part configuration to reach our 8-inch height on those. One of the benefits here is that we can nest all the components in one. Now it's just a one-cut setup. Okay, so we can nest everything together, make one cut. Now we're off to the races of building that raceway. One of the benefits with our lid too is it's actually extruded 1 inch longer than the raceway pieces itself. And so that is designed for water relief on the ends. So it hangs over the end cap. So instead of having those little bit of spaces where elements and water can get on the inside, if you ever ask us to cut these, we will cut the lid 3/8 of an inch larger to overhang both of the end caps for water prevention. So with the male and the female of the 4x8, they just simply roll together, and that's where the braces will come into play. These little 2-inch brace brackets then slide inside of those screw bosses that the end caps will go, and that's just adding our strength and structure. Yes, you could still put them in the bottom if you'd like, but this is a very stout system on the bottom, and that's pretty much never going to come apart. But cheap insurance, if you have a couple more of these brace brackets, feel free to slide them into the bottom just for more of that strength.
Would you weld or bond the 2-piece? You could use like adhesive to kind of
for the brace brackets?
No, for the bottom where it rolls together.
You know, for the bottom, Colleen, it's not necessary, because that's just added labor behind it. And I'll just get a little bit closer view of how tight that gets. So these are very in tune with how they roll together. So that is a very hard hard deal to break. I mean, I'm not the strongest person in the world, but still, the way that those roll and nest together, it's going to be almost impossible to get those apart. But once again, if you have some of those race brackets available, feel free to slide them in the bottom just for your added security.
Gotcha.
Now, one thing I did miss on the hinge lid itself, it's not a very popular way to go, but if in case you run into some of those situations where you have double stacked letters and you have the lid in between, trying to get in between those letters to service, we've had a couple of programs that will actually hang our raceways upside down to be able to service under and above. So of course above with the lid, but underneath, if you don't want to fit in between the letters, you could just hinge that from the bottom. Here's your power supply on the inside on that middle provision, and you're in there for servicing rather than trying to dodge all those letters in between. Now, one of the best tech tips and features and benefits with our Raceway is that we know that you're rarely running a full 24-foot stick to build a Raceway. So with your drops that you have on hand, you are able to splice these Raceways together, utilizing 100% of your inventory that you have. Back to those power supply shelves that I mentioned, if you cut these in a couple of 6-inch pieces, you will then slide them into the bottom screw boss and then the top screw boss. And what we could do then is simply splice these Raceways together. Once again, utilizing 100% of your drops. You know, I said simply. So now what we're doing is basically those old school racetracks back in the day is just simply splicing these together. Now you could do a quick weld or a little bit of adhesive to clean up that splice. But still, the main thing here is that you're using 100% of your drop. And then those 6-inch pieces, those brackets on the inside, that's just adding nothing but strength to your spliced Raceway. So that in a nutshell, that's how simple it is using the SignComp Raceways. Once again, the hinge lid is a great tech tip. The mobile mounting clips, top and bottom, the hinge lid, being able to splice these Raceways together is probably the biggest tech tip I can offer you. These are available cut to size. As Colleen mentioned, there's certain locations that do have 8-foot pieces for delivery, readily available right now at certain Glance locations.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please, they did open up the chat for us at this point. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in there. I know I jumped on a little bit late. We were having some technical issues on here. I'm always available, and I used to work with Jeremy at SignComp. I know a lot about SignComp, so I'm happy to help you any way I can as well. Okay. Michael Walsh is asking, do you offer any sample packages? We can definitely get you samples. Just let us know. Jeremy, you guys have 3-inch anodized samples available, right?
Correct. We do have 3-inch samples ready to go. If you wanted to kind of grow it and get something a little bit beefier, a little bit more stout to have, that's just communicating with Colleen and myself, and we could try to get a little demo kit available and sent out to your facility.
Yep, 100%. Happy to do
but
that.
the 3-inch samples, they do tell the whole story. Those are ready to go, tomorrow if you need any right now. Colleen, I'll just say real quick, my contact info is Jeremy, Jeremy, B as in boy, at SignComp.com. And Colleen, I don't know if you just want to add yours to the chat box or.
Yeah, my last name is hard, so I'm gonna put my I'm putting my email in the chat for you guys. Certainly your AE is also your representative for Glance is always available as well. So yeah, we just wanted to let you know that we're here. We're happy to help you. Don't think you're gonna find a better team in the country to work with. So
Absolutely. And I know this was very, very quick, but that's how simple and easy it is using the Raceways. Using the Raceways. So, the 4x8, the 3x5. I do want to mention the 3x5 is available in that 2-piece, the male female end, and there's really no cons to either of them. It's just some shops find it a little bit easier with the 2-piece. To be able to lay one on the router, get that going, and then once again you can nest these together and cut everything in one stroke. So there's no cons to either one of those. Some people just have a different preference over the other.
Gotcha. Michael Walsh is asking prepping for paint. So The product is going to come to you in a mill finish. It's going to have some, oil from the extrusion process on it and dye lines and stuff like that. So you're going to want to wash it off, sand it down, prime it, and then paint it whatever color. SignComp does not offer pre-painted raceways at this point.
Correct. And Colleen, even though this webinar was just based on the raceways, I do want to suggest that this booth is open to any kind of tour or any kind of training that you would like to do. We have stand-up cabinets all the way from post and panel to our kerf tensioning. So if your company just wanted to do a quick training session exactly like we did here, we are available to do that. Or if you want to get your design team, we can do a whole 30-minute booth tour and just kind of show you the ins and outs for, once again, flex face, vandal systems, or just a regular standard cabinet. Just reach out to Colleen or myself and we can get that set up. Is there any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, with that, okay. I must have done a great job, but no, Colleen's email and my email is on the chat box. If you want to jot that down, please reach out to us. Otherwise, I can't thank you enough for hopping on this beautiful Wednesday. So we'll just wait to hear from you. So please let us know if you have any questions or need anything from there.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Jeremy and Colleen.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys. Bye-bye.
You offer a Raceway weekend service from the front.
Oh,
sorry,
gosh.
real quick, Sunny.
Yeah, hang on a second. Sunny, yeah, what about the Access Raceway? Hey, Sunny, thanks for joining. That's so cool that you jumped on. What do you think about the Access Raceway?
The ever hidden Access Raceway. Okay, great question. This one tends to get a little bit hidden in our catalog.
It
so
does.
What you have here is basically the exact same setup as the Raceways we just reviewed. So the benefit with this is that it still has the mobile mounting clips behind. Otherwise, if you wanted a real clean look, you could just direct anchor the Raceway to the structure. And then with your letters attached to the front, the hook system like we have in our lid is still the same. Okay, now I get it. I hear it all the time, is that if your Raceway is a little bit too high, you're not going to be able to hinge that open for servicing. I get it. So if you notice where the mounting tabs are now on the back, is that we could remove the end cap and then slide this entire bracket out to the side, and there's your power supply to service. Otherwise, we do have a slim cabinet that can hinge open to get in there for servicing in the 2042. So as a reminder, this is called the Access Raceway. It's about the same size, just a touch smaller than the 3x5. So that is available for you as well. A lot of people will make this as like a remote power supply on the inside of a building as well. A nice clean application, cut it to about 16 to 18 inches. And then now we're just servicing our power supply rather than putting channel letters to it. So Access Raceway, you can service it from the front. Great question.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Sunny. Anything else, guys?
Last time we tried to end, there was another question. So this is the last chance. Reach out to Colleen. Okay. Thank you. All right. If there's no more questions, my email's on there. Colleen's email is on there. So please reach out with any further questions if you'd like. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week and appreciate you joining.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Colleen.
Thank you, Jeremy. Bye.